The cold wind rolled across the abandoned stretch of County Road as Evelyn Carter stepped out of her aging pickup, clutching the cracked steering wheel one last time before facing the shattered farmhouse ahead. She had driven through the night, chasing a memory of a place she hadn't seen since she was 8. Her grandmother's land, lost to time, taxes, and a family too broken to save it. Now at 57, widowed and weary, she had returned only because there was nowhere else left to go. The porch sagged under years of storms, its paint peeled into ash-gray curls, but she felt a strange warmth stirring under the decay, as if the bones of the house recognized her. "Mom, are we really staying here?" her daughter Lena asked softly, pulling her jacket tight. Evelyn forced a smile, though her heart throbbed with the weight of failure. "For now," she answered, "just until we figure things out." The sun crept over the distant hills, casting pale gold through the broken front window. Dust floated like tiny spirits in the stillness. Evelyn stepped inside, bracing for mold or animals or the smell of death. But instead, she found the faint scent of lavender, the same her grandmother used to tuck into drawers. Her breath caught. Maybe it was memory. Maybe it was hope refusing to die. She touched the scarred wall and whispered, "Let's try again." They spent hours clearing a space large enough for sleeping bags, brushing away leaves, shattered glass, and the remnants of a life left unfinished. Evelyn moved through the rooms slowly, letting her fingers glide over worn doorframes, each etched with faint knife marks where her grandfather once measured the grandchildren as they grew. Lena followed close behind, capturing photos on her phone as though documenting a crime scene. "Mom, did someone break in?" she asked, staring at cabinet doors left half open. Evelyn shook her head. "No. This house has been abandoned for decades. Time did this." But deep inside, she felt something unsettling, like the house hadn't simply decayed, it had been waiting. By afternoon, they discovered the back parlor, a room Evelyn barely remembered. Sunlight spilled across warped floorboards, illuminating a toppled bookcase and stacks of yellowed newspapers from 1974. As she lifted one, a small envelope slipped free. Her full name, was written across it in handwriting she knew instantly. Her grandmother's. Her knees weakened. She sat slowly, gripping the fragile envelope as Lena knelt beside her. "Mom, what is it?" Evelyn didn't speak, couldn't. The last time she saw her grandmother, she was too young to understand secrets, final words, or unfinished warnings. She tore the envelope open with trembling hands. Inside was a single key, old brass, cold as winter, and a note that read, "When you are lost, the truth will call you home." Night fell quickly, bringing with it the long, mournful groans of the old house settling into winter. They set up near the fireplace, though no fire could be lit. The chimney was half collapsed. Lena drifted to sleep under layers of blankets, but Evelyn lay awake staring at the brass key, turning it over beneath the beam of her flashlight. It didn't belong to any room they had entered. And the note, her grandmother had died 2 weeks after writing it. What truth had she meant? Outside, wind scraped dead branches against the siding like ghostly fingernails. Evelyn rose quietly and followed her instincts, stepping into the hallway where the temperature dropped sharply. Her breath misted. The narrow staircase leading to the cellar remained padlocked, something Evelyn had dismissed earlier as normal for old farms. But now the key in her hand grew warmer, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. She knelt, fit the key into the rusted lock, and felt it turn with impossible ease. A cold rush of air surged up the stairs as though something exhaled. Evelyn hesitated only a second before descending. Each step groaned under her weight, but she pressed on until her flashlight beam landed on something impossible. A door beneath the earth, wooden, reinforced with iron strips, and marked with her grandmother's initials carved deep. She touched them with trembling fingers, knowing this door was never meant to be opened quickly. But fate had other plans. With a quiet prayer, she pulled. The door creaked open, and the truth finally breathed. The cellar beyond the hidden door looked nothing like the dusty stone chamber she expected. Instead, it was a sanctuary, dry, warm, lit by the dim glow of old oil lamps that flickered as if sensing her arrival. Wooden shelves lined the walls, filled with tins, journals, mason jars, and bundles wrapped in burlap. At the center lay a cedar chest, carved with vines, its lock already broken. Evelyn approached with hesitation, her heart pounding with each step. The chest lid lifted easily, revealing stacks of letters tied with twine, each labeled with dates spanning 50 years. But beneath them, wrapped carefully in quilted cloth, lay something far stranger, a metal box, polished and modern, not from her grandmother's time. Confusion tightened her throat. She opened it slowly. Inside were photographs of her mother as a teenager, standing in this very cellar beside a young man Evelyn had never seen. Their faces shone with hope, their eyes carrying a secret weight. Beneath the photos lay a thick envelope stamped with the seal of a private investigator. Evelyn's pulse raced. She opened the report and scanned the pages. Her mother had been searching for someone, a missing boy. A brother Evelyn never knew existed. The words blurred. Why had her mother hidden this? Why had her grandmother prepared this room like a time capsule waiting for her return? She stumbled back, gripping the edge of the chest. The truth wasn't simply calling her home. It was demanding to be faced, and she wasn't sure she was ready. Evelyn returned upstairs in a daze, every step feeling like she carried a century of ghosts on her shoulders. Lena sat awake now, rubbing her eyes. "Mom, where were you?" Her voice broke slightly with fear. Evelyn sat beside her, still clutching the investigator's report. "Sweetheart, there's something I never knew about our family." She tried to speak gently, but the words tasted like thunder. She explained the hidden cellar, the chest, the photographs, the report, the possibility of a lost brother who vanished long before Evelyn was born. Lena listened with widening eyes, absorbing each revelation like cold water down her spine. "So, we have family out there." Evelyn nodded, though uncertainty gnawed at her. "We might, or we might have had." She opened the last page of the report, the investigator's conclusion. The boy was believed to have been taken by his father after a violent split. Final known location, Carter Farm, 1978. Evelyn's breath hitched. The farm, this farm. Her grandmother hadn't simply abandoned this land, she had sealed it, protected it, hidden something too painful to face. Lena placed a trembling hand over her mother's. "Mom, do you think he could still be alive?" Evelyn stared into the dark hallway where cold air seeped from the cellar door. "I don't know," she whispered. "But whatever happened here, it's time we learn the truth." Outside, the clouds thickened, and snow began to fall, soft, silent, and heavy with memory. The next morning brought a bright, brittle dawn. Frost glazed the fields in silver sheets, and the farmhouse looked almost peaceful under the pale light. Evelyn brewed instant coffee over a camp stove, her thoughts tangled like roots. The cellar, the letters, the missing brother. She felt the weight of generations pressing against her ribs. Lena wandered the property with her camera, documenting the land as though each photograph might unlock another secret. When she reached the collapsed barn, she called out, "Mom, you need to see this." Evelyn hurried over. Beneath the loose boards, half buried in frozen earth, was an old metal lockbox, not rusted, preserved by oil and time. Her grandmother's handwriting was scratched across the top, "For Evelyn when the season returns." Evelyn's hands trembled as she pried it open. Inside were 3 items: a faded birth certificate naming a baby boy, Samuel Carter, a pocket knife engraved with her mother's initials, and a recorded cassette tape labeled simply. Truth, Evelyn's breath faltered. The tape felt impossibly heavy. She looked around, the land was silent except for whispering wind. "Mom," Lena said softly, "whatever's on that tape, we need to hear it together." Evelyn swallowed hard. "Not here, not in the cold." They carried the box back into the house and cleared space near the old hearth. As Evelyn inserted the tape into Lena's digital converter, the device crackled, hissed, and then a familiar voice, her mother's, filled the room, trembling with confession. "If you're hearing this," the voice began, "then the truth has waited long enough." Evelyn froze, gripping Lena's hand as her mother's words spilled through decades. "Your grandmother and I hid the past to protect you. Samuel was your brother, your father's son from before we met. When things turned violent, your grandmother took both of us here to keep him safe. But your father found us." A choked breath sounded on the tape. "He took Samuel during the night. We searched for years. We found proof he brought him back to this land, but by the time we returned, the house had burned. We feared the worst. Your grandmother sealed the cellar, locked away every reminder, and swore we would never speak of it again." Evelyn pressed a hand to her mouth, her heart fracturing. "I'm sorry," the voice whispered. "If Samuel survived, he might still be out there. But if he didn't, this land holds his story, and you deserve to know." The tape clicked off, leaving only the sound of Evelyn's ragged breath. The farmhouse walls felt suddenly alive, humming with the echoes of all they had hidden. Lena pressed her forehead to her mother's shoulder. "Mom, we're going to find out what happened, together." Evelyn closed her eyes, tears burning. "Yes," she whispered, "we will." The house may have held sorrow, but it also held answers, and she would not run from them again. By evening, the snow had settled into a soft white blanket, cleansing the broken fields like a quiet blessing. Evelyn stood outside, gazing toward the distant tree line where memories had turned into mysteries. She no longer felt the despair that weighed her down yesterday. Instead, she felt a steady resolve rising within her, a determination born from truth, loss, and love. When Lena joined her on the porch, Evelyn wrapped her arm around her. "Whatever we find," she said gently, "we face it with open eyes. Pain only grows in shadows."